Okay, welcome. It's our December Peptide Masterclass. We are going to cover muscle growth and muscle development, why muscle is important. I have a ton of Q&A items to go through and FAQs, a lot of common themes this month that I track when you guys have questions about peptide supports and how that works, etc. We're going to do some giveaways for everyone that's joined live. I have a bunch of peptides beside me and I want to give away a whole bunch of stuff. So I'll kind of be sprinkling them in throughout our call so we can have some fun. So a couple of just, I would say like housekeeping items. I'm just going to share my screen real quick, make sure that that works. Okay. So until Sunday, we're doing a cyber sale on Hydrated. If you haven't seen this yet, if you go to the Make Wellness shop, it should be just right there. And when you click shop now, it goes. So you get buy two, get one free. And yes, you can choose all tropical and get grapefruit. I'm not a huge fan of grapefruit, but I know some people are. I'm planning to give away the gifts, like gifts for people that include energized, fit, hydrated, calm, and like little packets and give them out at church to my friends. And that's what I'm doing for Christmas gifts this year. So if you don't like hydrated, but you want to get the buy two, get one free, and you don't like the grapefruit, this is a great option. So I wanted to start with that. Okay, I'll end my share screen. So that's how you can do that. And then also, I've been getting questions about the save $20 peptide thing. So I want to go into that really quick housekeeping items before you get into the master plan of today. Um, Friends, okay, so if you have a friend who you're starting to talk to about peptides with, and they're like, what are you doing? How does this work? Right now until Sunday, December 7th, they can get $20 off their first peptide order. Okay, so this can benefit your friend. And if you use your link inside your account, you get $10 off as well. And to just like make it even sweeter, if you refer a friend, I'm going to send you a peptide support pack just to say thank you and you're awesome for supporting your friends and getting them started on peptides too, so you can have buddies. So if you end up sharing your link with a friend and your friend gets a peptide stack and they save $20 and you get a $10 credit on your account, just send me a quick text and just say you did it, and then I'll send you a little pack I have planned. Speaking about packs, I had this crazy wild idea last night at 9:30 at night when I should have been sleeping. I'm going to be creating a Facebook group for all of us, and I'm actually repurposing. If you were around in the keto days, I have a ginormous keto group that nobody is really active in anymore. So I'm going to be repurposing it in December. It's I have so many plans. It's going to be great. It all came to be at 9:30 on a Wednesday evening. Um, and so I want you to start thinking about in January, is there someone that you want to have accountability with to go on a body recomp challenge process with? We're going to be launching this in a couple of weeks. I'm still kind of fleshing out the details of what this is going to look like, but I really want this group to be highly interactive and supportive. So we're going like 30 days in between these calls, and I want there to be more touch base, more community, and more education, not just around peptides, but around health and wellness and what that looks like for each individual. So if there's a friend, I want you to start thinking about, are there people in my life that I would want to do this with, or that I would want to see changed through peptides, whether that's just focusing on fit to reduce their inflammation, or even just starting with calm so that they're less spastic and overwhelmed. And you have a friend that often talks about anxiety. So start thinking about that, and I'll have more details here in the next little bit. Um, okay, let's do a giveaway. Let's start there. So I have energized. If you have not done energized before, this is a great chance to just give it a try. I'm going to be doing a six pack of energized. What I want you to do is open up the chat. So you have the chat open and tell me the top change that you've seen since starting peptides. Just like one word, right in the chat. Muscle. Nice. I like that one. Jessica.
More energy.
More energy. Energy. Denise. No crashes. Energy, energy. Yeah. Energy, muscle. No crashes, more energy, more energy. Okay. I randomly just like went through and wrote down two names, Jessica Yoder and Denise Bond. I will send you to some energized. Speaking of energy, have fun with that one. Okay, cool. More to come. I have so much. I have so much to give you guys. Okay, I want to cover a little bit about strategies on how to use peptides. A lot of questions coming in on caffeine and peptide use. So, Fit has caffeine, lean has a little bit of caffeine. Some individuals are sensitive to caffeine. One of the main questions I've been getting this month is, can I do Fit if I'm sensitive to caffeine? If you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I am highly sensitive to caffeine. We need to understand the biomechanics behind a sensitivity to caffeine. Oftentimes in functional medicine, in my experience over the last, what is it, 19 years now, it's often a liver issue or an adrenal issue or a combination of them. So if you have a sensitivity to caffeine and you're avoiding Fit or you're just not sure whether or not Fit would be great for you, pro tip here, what I did was when I started Fit, I combined it with L-theanine and I would open up a capsule of L-theanine and I would sprinkle it in with the Fit. And I started very small with the Fit, like just a sprinkle in water, and worked my way up over a couple of weeks to even just a half a packet to make sure that I could handle it. I'm fully at a full packet now. It does not affect me, and I no longer combine it with the L-theanine, but the L-theanine can help your body work through the caffeine so that you can handle more of it. And now, as a highly sensitive caffeine person, I've worked through this and now I can handle chocolate and coffee and all the things. And that's really great for me. So I thought I would share that with you because I have been getting that question quite often. Another question in regards to fit. Oh, somebody says, yes, I drink a lot of coffee, but less now that I'm taking fit, specifically in the afternoon. That's awesome. Also on the fit aspect, so there are a lot of promotional images of fit. If you go to the website and you're checking out Make Wellness and you're like, all these pictures are people with muscles and working out, and like, this doesn't apply to me. Um, Fit has two peptides in it. One is for inflammation, the other is for muscle building and muscle maintenance. So, maintaining muscle is absolutely critical. Critical. And as we age, our ability to engage in muscle protein synthesis decreases. So we need more and more amino acids, more and more protein as we get older, and less of it works. Okay. And we need more and more muscle as we age because muscle mass naturally declines over time. Muscle protein synthesis declines over time. And this leads completely to reduced strength, reduced mobility, and reduced independence, right? And so strong muscles, on the opposite of that, can support our joints, can protect against injuries and falls. In fact, oftentimes when I see friends at the gym and they're like, working glutes again, are we, Leanne? And I'm like, yeah, because I don't want to break a hip. In fact, the stronger your glutes are, the less likely you are to break your hip. And I have walked through hip replacement surgery and hip recovery with many clients. It is not easy. It is not fun. I don't want that on anyone, right? So maintaining our muscle is key. And for just longevity and independence, but also muscle plays a critical role in metabolism. And many of us who are doing bioactive peptides are here because we want our bodies to look different. And I was just standing actually chatting with Kevin this morning after having a shower and I was just wearing my bra and shorts and he's like, "I can see your abs." Like I can you just you this is okay, yeah, you literally have a six pack. You're just standing there, you're drying your hair with a six pack. And so we're here to get that, right? And so we need to understand that Metabolism is especially ran through muscle regulation. So muscles help regulate blood sugar, muscles help support a healthy weight, muscles maintain overall energy levels, and muscle increases our thermogenesis. So a person that weighs 150 pounds, I'm going to make the math really easy. This is probably not even possible, but you'll get the idea. A person that weighs 150 pounds, if 100 of it is muscle, they're going to burn a substantial amount of calories compared to a person that weighs 150 pounds, but 50 pounds of that is muscle. So the more muscle you have, the more calorie burn you have at just a resting state. And so when we look at fit, not only does it help us maintain the muscle, but it also helps lower our inflammation. And lowered inflammation is important because chronic inflammation contributes to a host of chronic issues, right? So if we think of heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, like this persistent inflammation can damage tissues, accelerate aging, and so like reducing the overall inflammation helps regulate our immune system, helps with energy, helps with improved recovery. So ultimately, the two peptides in fit, this is why when somebody says, well, which one should I start with? I'm not really sure. Here are my goals. 100% of the time, it's fit. Like, just start with fit. It replaces your collagen completely. It replaces the amino acids you're doing. It replaces a lot of the blood sugar regulation items that you're doing. Helps with blood sugar regulation because of the metabolic balance that we're getting with the maintenance of muscle. So we're going to get more into muscle in just a moment. I want to talk quickly about a big question I'm getting is, okay, Leanne, so now you have these six-pack abs you're bragging about. Happy for you. Um, will you ever stop peptides? Like what's the plan? What's the plan? If I achieve my goals with this, what are the next steps? So I've thought a lot about this and I've walked through peptide, I would say maintenance with many clients who have been on them now for over a year. And so when we hit that goal, I don't think that I need to do fit every day. Like I've achieved the goal, I have low inflammation, I'm, making muscle, maintaining muscle quite well, my diet's dialed in. I could probably do fit every other day or fit only during workout days and be fine for myself personally. So it's not that when we achieve the goal and we go off of bioactive peptides completely, that everything that we have done is now undone. Okay, think of peptides as kind of moving the car forward as you're changing other things. Those messages from the peptides are going to the cells are doing what they're instructed, and you're making other changes. Like the major feedback that I got at like even this month and all the months is I'm making other changes that I didn't think that I would be making. And so I want you to think about peptides as something that can be dynamic with where you're at in life, right? So I actually had a colleague ask me what kind of stack would be good for a client yesterday. And we decided to start this client on Energized for the first couple of months. And when she had more energy to dedicate to meal prepping, going for walks in the morning, starting to go to the gym once a month or once a week, that we would switch her from Energized to Fit because that's a nice transition. And so it doesn't have to be an all or nothing or this is my protocol for the rest of my life and I'm going to be stuck on this. It can be dynamic with where we're at with our goals, what we've achieved. But when we take them out, it's not like everything is undone. If I stop taking fit and lean and hydrated and calm sometimes when I'm overwhelmed and focused for things like this where I really need to stay on point, it's not like all of the work that I've done over the last 16 months of being on peptides is going to be undone. It's just that you're no longer going to have those messages that it's sending to complete the things that it was doing previously. But lifestyle, diet, all those things have changed over time as you've given yourself more space. Does that make sense? Let me know if it doesn't or if you need clarification in the chat. So, one more thing. I've gotten a lot of questions on taking peptides with GLPs and how to balance all of this. I've walked with clients on this. I would say probably a dozen clients who are either they start with bioactive peptides, they decide they want to do like microdosing of GLPs, and we kind of balance all of that together. That's worked. Um, I've had clients on GLPs who no longer want to be on GLPs because they achieved their goal and they want to like get off of it. A huge thing that I've seen, if you just get off of it and expect bioactive peptides to completely, absolutely replace it without slowly lowering the dose of the GLP, probably there's going to be some bounce back. And so what I've seen clinically is if you are on a GLP and you're wanting to slowly wean yourself off a GLP and move more to the bioactive peptide route, I would slowly wean yourself off the GLP with the instruction of the doctor that prescribed the medicine or the peptide, I guess I should say. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. Okay, let's do another giveaway. Let's do calm. Let's do calm. What's the what's okay in the chat? What's the thing? Oh, if you could plan the perfect activity, yes. If you could plan the perfect activity that would get you in a total Zen state, what would that activity be? Beach walk. Love it. Meditate. Ashwagandha swallowing. Nice one, Jessica, because Calm has ashwagandha. Nice. Mountain. I saw a mountain hike. Sharon. Sharon. Mountain hike, spa day, long hike in the woods, spa at the ocean. Kate, represent. That's a good answer. Yoga on the beach, sitting on my porch, hiking, floating in my pool, forest bathing. Oh, these sound so great. Can we get together and do all this? It sounds fabulous. Okay, okay, Amy Gratlin. I want to make sure I write down your guys' name right. Okay, Sharon C., Katie Hume, and Amy Gratlin. I'm gonna send you some calm. Yeah, my people. Yeah. We could be best friends in real life. That all sounds fabulous. My sister would say something like going shopping. How do we have the same parents? I don't even understand that. Okay, body change. Okay, so I created a document for you and I want to share it. Where is that thing? Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. There we go. Can you see that table okay? Like thumbs up. It should say like what to expect. Okay. So the body of our class today is really about muscle building and peptide changes. So a common question that I receive is what should I notice as I'm starting to take the muscle metabolic collection? So that's fit, lean, hydrated. We could also add fit, lean, restored into this, and I can kind of play with that as well. So with restored sleep peptide, we should start to notice changes in the first 3 to 5 days, sometimes a little bit longer into like 10 days as we figure out, is it one cap? Is it two? Like, how much do you need 1 hour before sleep? But come like week 2, 3, your HRV should be improving. Your deep sleep is improving. Your REM sleep is improving. If you wear your Oura ring or your Whoop band or whatever you're doing for sleep regulation and monitoring, you should start to see your scores increase. So that restored works very quickly. And if you're a quite conscious individual and very much in your body, you'll probably notice changes even with fit and lean and hydrated pretty quickly. So here's just a table to kind of explain what I've seen clinically. And even just when I do peptide follow-ups with you guys on Saturdays, when I'm like, how's it going? And you guys give me your feedback, I track everything so that I know kind of how you're feeling. And when people have questions, I know how to answer their questions. So here's just a simple layout. I would say expect to if you're not a highly intuitive person, like my husband calls me a walking lab because I can have one little itty bitty thing and be like, there was blah, blah, blah in this. He's like, there's no way you know that. I'm like, I'm telling you, that's a thing. So if you're highly intuitive, you'll notice very quickly. If you're not, that's fine. You're more of a warrior type people, and we need you guys too. And so you're probably going to notice changes around month 2 or 3, and that's going to be like fat loss is different than muscle. Okay, so you might not see changes on the scale significantly. I highly encourage you, if you're on a body change experience, that you should get some sort of DEXA scan, body composition scan, so you can understand how much of your body is fat and how much of your body is muscle. Because as you're using lean and fit, especially, your body composition is going to change. I've been parked at the same weight now for about 2 months. I've kind of what we would say plateaued. But like I said, standing in front of Kevin this morning, he was like, your abs are popping. And I'm like, the scale has not moved in the last 2 months, but they continue to get more and more developed, even though the scale isn't moving. And so it's important to see that ongoing fat loss is what we're looking for, and muscle tone is what we're looking for. And today I want to go into kind of the nitty-gritty around how these changes take effect. And then by month 2 or 3 too, you're going to see the metabolism feels more efficient, like less hungry throughout. Like you should be able to have breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe a snack, and not have all the food noise going on, and not feel just, when you feel like you've had the wrong kind of meal, and after 30 minutes you're hungry again and things just aren't settled. Like as you take the muscle metabolic, fit, lean, hydrated, you should notice less of that. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And then deep hydration, less water retention, less bloating, more energy from the hydrated. Okay, so let me get back to my notes. Okay, so I want to talk too about weight fluctuations. I want to explain kind of what we should be seeing from a trend perspective. So, okay. You jump on your scale, right? Every morning, ideally, to see these trends. You're not weighing yourself once every week, okay? If there's a thing going on in your mind, this used to happen to me. Like I would get on the scale and my entire world would be over because it was up 3 pounds from yesterday. And I'm like, what actually gives? I've been tracking everything. This is a sick joke. Okay. The more you weigh yourself, the more you're going to see these crazy trends where one day it's going to be, 181, and then the next day it's 183, then it's back down to 181.2, and then it's 182.4. The more you weigh in, the more you start to see the trends, the more over time, even if you scale out to the week, you'll be like, well, this doesn't look like anything. Then you scale out to the month and you're like, wait, I lost 0.75 pounds last month? I did not, that did not feel like that was happening in the moment. Okay. So I want you to start thinking about, if we're wanting to build muscle, lose fat, change body composition, we need to be weighing ourselves more and understanding that those body scans really help us dictate, is it fat that we're losing or is it muscle that we're losing? Because, like we were talking about with GLPs, not all experience this, but many do, where we go on GLPs, we do these restrictive diets or really truly anything, and we think, yes, the number's down. This is great. But again, from our conversation around why muscle is so important, why it's so protective, and how it's going to be an insurance policy for us into the future, we need to make sure that we're not just thinking about weighing uh, having our weight go down, but having our fat go down. And if we are building muscle at the same time, we're going to talk about how we do this properly. If we're building muscle at the same time, that scale might not go down. It might stay very steady, and that's okay too. So, experiencing muscle body recomp, not the abs thing. Okay, so Jessica saying, I'm experiencing the muscle body recomp, not the abs thing, but the scale is going a bit up. Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that because I have been taking peptides now for 10 months. Yes, I had to count that on my fingers. Whatever, I'm 5 years old. And so 10 months. And so be patient with that progress, but understanding that when we're going on the scale, it's really important to look at our weekly trends, our monthly trends, and we should see, okay, if we're in a deficit and our goal is to break or to burn fat, I should say, then we want to make sure that the scale is trending in a downward trend month over month, okay? So Amy writes, do you recommend weighing first thing in the morning naked? Yes. Absolutely. First thing in the morning, have your pee, jump on the scale. I love my Bluetooth scale. I get on it and maybe I have my phone connected to it. Sometimes I don't. And it just like logs it in the scale and I jump off and I get about my day and it logs everything and it has my weigh-ins for the last 6 years and I can look at all of it and scale out the data. And let me tell you, when that number goes up and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Then I can scale out to a week, scale out to a month and be like, oh, right. Yeah. Well, of course, I don't want to be down more than a pound a month. If you are losing more than 0.25 to zero point 0.5 pounds per week, then you are likely burning muscle, breaking it down. We don't want that. We want it to be slow and steady and nice and slow, even though I know you don't want it to be slow, but I promise you, you want it to be slow. You want the trend to look down, obviously, but we don't want it to be dropping like it's hot. That's not what we want here. Okay. Cool. So, let's talk about, do you have any questions on calories and stuff? We covered it so much last month, so I don't want to like get into the weeds on that. But basically, you need to decide as you're changing the way your body looks and feels, and we're using peptides to do this, and we're wanting our hair to look fabulous and our energy to be good. We need to decide if you have not been eating in maintenance calories for 6 months or longer, cutting down on your calories and going into a cutting phase where we're in a deficit probably is not for you. So if you've been in a deficit for 6 months or more and you know that you are not eating at maintenance, I would encourage you to get back up to maintenance, park it there, and maintenance is a beautiful time to build muscle. You cannot build muscle if you are not eating enough. Okay. So let's use that 150-pound gal. She works out twice a week and she needs 1,800 calories to just survive, to balance her hormones, to sleep well, all the things. 1,800 calories is just enough to build a little bit of muscle, but 1,900 calories would be even better. And at that 1,900 calories, just 100 calories more, you're in just enough of a surplus that you're going to build some muscle. So the biggest mistake that I see women making is that we're at the gym, we're lifting weights, and we're in a 500-calorie deficit for the day. And that can be fine if you're very mindful that while I'm lifting right now, I'm maintaining what I have, I'm giving my muscle stimulus to continue to be at how it is, but I can't expect right now, I am maintaining muscle so that I can burn fat. And I'm in a deficit just enough that I can burn just enough fat that I'm slowly lowering it down over time in a small deficit so that in 6 months or maybe 9 months max, I can go back up to maintenance and then start making more muscle. It is so hard for women, especially in a deficit, to build muscle. Okay. Is there a way to listen to past recordings? Yes. So actually, when I send out the recording, it's part of a playlist that you can go to and you can scroll through all the recordings that have existed since we started doing this. So there's a bunch there for you. Yeah, so when I send out the recording, just like go to the playlist that it's part of, and it'll say like this is part of the playlist. Yeah. So, let's talk about some of the mistakes that I see women making. We talked about not eating at maintenance. Okay, so does that make sense that maintenance is needed if we want to build muscle? 100 calories, just 100 calories more on those lifting days goes a long way for helping to create that muscle. Okay. A huge mistake I see women making is thinking that they can build muscle when they're not pushing hard enough. And pushing hard enough is hard. Like The faces I make at the gym, that's probably why nobody ever approaches me. It's terrifying. I'm working hard at it. We got to push hard in order to get that stimulus. And so there's really two types of workouts. Mm, the stank face. Yes, exactly. I have a really good stank face. It's probably where all my wrinkles come from. Yeah. So there's really three types of workouts. There's hypertrophy. So that's when let's just do a bicep curl. You take the bicep curl, right? Your dumbbell, and you're like, okay, I'm going to do, I don't know, 15 bicep curls. That would be hypertrophy. You're hypertrophying the muscle. Then there's strength, where you're taking a really heavy dumbbell and you're able to do maybe 4 to 6 of those. That's more of a nervous system build. And the nervous system build is just as important as hypertrophy, because the more your nervous system is able to handle weight, the better your hypertrophy is. So a good program has both strength with those lower reps and high weights and hypertrophy. And a really, really good program has the third option, which is a little bit of endurance. And so endurance for the average lady looks like steps and sprints. And I think most of us do more of the endurance, thinking that we're benefiting our bodies. So these are like the HIIT classes, the workout classes where we're getting a really good sweat on. We do our cardio, but it's just burning calories. It's not stimulating the muscle enough that we're building the muscle. In fact, I often hear these ladies that go to these workout classes and they're like, I wish I was seeing more progress. I've been doing this for a year. And I'm like, oh, if I could just work out with you for like 30 minutes, I would show you. It's like you don't even need to commit to that long. What is your opinion on Les Mills body pump plus strength training on the others? I have no idea what that is. Les Mills body pump. Sorry, there's so many programs. I'm sure I've seen it. I think it's okay. I'm going to share my screen with you. I want to show you what I mean. Where is that darn thing? Okay, here it is. Let me get to it. Okay. It's really not complicated. It's really not complicated. I waste so much time on this myself. It's really not complicated. Realistically, if you can commit to 2 days in the gym, like just 2 days, you can do this at home. You don't even need to go to the gym. If you're brand new at this and you're like, ain't no, I am not going to a gym, Leanne. That's fine. You can start at home. That's how I started. That's a great place to start, because consistency will always win on all of this. Okay. 2 days. If you're doing 2 days, you're going to do 2 full body days where you're going to choose 2 to 3 workouts for your upper body and 2 to 3 workouts for your lower body. And you're going to do that twice a week. Okay. If you can do 3 days, then I would do 1 full body day, 1 full upper day, and 1 full lower day. And if you can do 4 days, I would do 2 uppers and 2 lowers. So ideally, we're working toward the 2 uppers and 2 lowers. Now, this could be 30 minutes at the gym. This could be 45 minutes at the gym. It's all about quality, okay, versus the quantity. If you have a really good tight workout and you get in there, you're already warmed up, you're good to go. I think you can get a lot accomplished in 30 minutes if that's where you're starting, and that's fabulous. So what it could look like is, how does baby wearing play into this, or would you add actual weight work? Okay, great question. So baby wearing is a lot like rucksack wearing. I would count it towards steps, and I think core work more so. But I mean, if you're wearing your baby and you're doing like a lot of squats to pick stuff up and things like that, maybe you could count it toward a leg day. But I would say if you're baby wearing, I would do at least 2 sessions where you're actually focusing on different muscles with weight work. Does that make sense? Yeah. So here's an example of like a upper body versus a lower body. Now, a lot of mistakes I see with women is that, I don't know, maybe you don't know what this is, but bro splits. This is basically where we separate the body into a glute day, like a leg, like a quad and calf day, a back day, a shoulder day. That's a bro split. That is not where we want to take this as women who want to recomp our bodies. It's far better to separate it as upper body day and lower body day and do a mixture of things. And what works for a lot of people is work out, then take a day off, like take a rest day, and then work out the next day and take a rest day. So there's ample amount of rest in between because muscle builds in the rest. Muscle builds when you're eating. Muscle is not building at the gym. You're actually breaking yourself down at the gym. And so a format like this could be really great. And I've done this program. It takes about 45 minutes from start to finish. And as a combination of both strength, right? You can see the barbell bench press, that's strength. Okay. But the chest supported row, that's hypertrophy. Okay, we get into major hypertrophy here with the dumbbell lateral raise because that's an accessory movement. Okay, so you have your bench press, which is like a compound movement, and then you have your lateral raise where you're just working an accessory that you can get stronger in your compound movements. Here's another example of a hypertrophy volume day for upper body, right? And a lower body quad or quad dominant, glute dominant lower body because this first day was like a posterior focus. And then we're going to tie in so glute. Like these are just examples, but a lot of the times when I share this with clients or this sort of thing, they're like, I have never even seen it done like this. This is not at all what I've been doing. Let me just check the questions. I struggle to work out in the morning. Should I just make myself do it, or can I still get some of the benefit from working out later in the day? Actually, the most beneficial time to work out for women is between 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is highly not going to work for most people. Just where our cortisol is at and like how our bodies recover, that's like the best time. I think it's very independent of the individual. Like if you told me that I had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, eat a banana and head to the gym and be there by 6:30, that would be literal torture for me. I would hate that. I choose to work until about 10:30 in the morning and then I go to the gym and then I finish my work day from like noon onward. And that works really well for me, but it doesn't need to be a morning thing. I never work out in the morning. Like so, and I've gotten the last year where I have dialed in my nutrition before and after and made my lifts way more simple like this and done my peptides, that's been the most progress that I've ever seen with muscle development. Because it's not just one thing, it's a combination of things. It's the peptides, it's the movement, it's the steps, right? And the peptide, the reason I love the peptides and I'm so passionate about this is because for a lot of us, the idea of even talking about a gym is like, I am so tired, I am so overwhelmed, I have so much stuff going on that the peptides allow us to reduce the inflammation. So all of a sudden we're thinking better and maintaining our muscle so our metabolism starts working better and reducing food noise so we're not thinking about Cheetos at 2 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon. And so all these things start coming into place that we start having more and more space to make different decisions. And so it's not far-fetched to think in a couple of months of being on bioactive peptides that you can commit to one of these workout days and try it out. Be like, I don't even know what a hip thrust is. You're going to go on YouTube, you're going to watch a video and be like, that looks hard. I'm going to try it, right? And just go in there and play. Go in there and just discover what your body feels like. Okay. So let me check my notes. Okay, walking. I actually had some really good conversations this month about walking and steps and step count. So I don't have a wearable that's very reliable for steps. I use my phone and I also just use a timer. I know that if I've walked for 10 minutes, it's 1,000 steps. So if I walk for 90 minutes throughout the day, then it's 9,000 steps. And my goal, I find where I feel best is 9,000 steps. And what I see an error that a lot of women make is just thinking that steps don't really help. And they massively help. They massively, massively help. So if the thought of even going to the gym and all that stuff is just crazy, and you get a little app on your phone and you start tracking your steps and you're around 1,500 for the day, steps are a great way to start looking at things like going for a 5 minute walk in between calls or getting a little walker for your, what's it called? A walking desk for underneath your desk or a little pedal. They have these pedals on Amazon that you can get. And I do the same. Like 10 minutes with the pedals is 1,000 steps. And so just starting to think about more movement, parking farther away, getting a snowsuit and walking out in the winter and bundling yourself up. So walking, don't discount the power of walking. Now, it's not going to trigger muscle protein synthesis and give you six-pack abs, but it helps with our non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is essential for recomping our body. Consistency. So I'm chatting with a friend right now and she started working out and she's doing it at home and she's doing a 10-minute routine 3 times a week and she was embarrassed to tell me this. And I was like, "Why are you embarrassed? That is fabulous." So commit to that for the next couple of months. And when you've nailed it, when you're just like you want to do it every day and you're ready to go, then add another session. And when you are feeling really good with that, then add more minutes, add some weights. Like consistency is everything. I remember when my mom was diagnosed with Parkinson's, that's when I started lifting because I saw how quickly she was deteriorating. And I remember the first workout I did, and I actually took a video of it. I don't think I will ever share it ever on the public space ever. And I was so out of shape and just embarrassed that I had let my body get to that point as a nutritionist. And I knew better. And I honestly thought I was getting more steps than I was, and I was stronger than I was. And now I was delusional. And so I started off with one workout in our boat for 15 minutes once a week. That's what I knew that I could commit to. Every Monday, I was going to do it. And now I go to the gym. I lift 4 days a week. I do sprints twice a week. So I'm at the gym 6 days a week and I enjoy it. I look forward to it. I love it. I want to be there. I'm there for like an hour and a half and I enjoy it. Right. So that has been a 5 year progression. And so it's not 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. Consistency is everything. So whatever you can commit to is better than making a plan that you know you can't commit to. Does that make sense? We talked a little bit about compound versus accessory lifts. I see a lot of women at the gym, and I like to, it's not that I'm judging people. I just watch people and I think like, oh man, I wonder what their goals are. And like, if their goals are this, they're doing, because I'm a coach and it just happens. I can't help it. Um, so I see a lot of women skip the bench press and skip the rows and skip the dumbbell press and sometimes they do the lat pull down, but it's like really, really light. And they do things like the dumbbell flies and the lateral raise and the calf raise and maybe the leg curl, but really light or a walking lunge. So they're all accessory movements and we're not doing the big compound lifts. When I load a squat for a squat and I'm trying to, I usually lift around 80% my max, which is quite heavy. I feel my quads, my glutes, my abductors, my adductors, my entire core is lit up, my shoulders. A compound lift involves multiple muscle groups at the same time. And it's like a quadruple whammy, right? And so those are important. They're equally as important as the accessory because if I'm working on a bench press, then if in an accessory, I'm working on my shoulder, my lateral, and my chest, and I'm isolating those areas, I'm going to be able to do that bench press, which includes all of those items a lot better in the future. Okay. Doesn't matter what time, the best time of day to be taking fit or lean. I actually have like a whole Q&A planned, and I'm probably just going to stay and finish it because it has to be done. But the best time to take fit, I would say, is any time between when you wake up to around noon because of the caffeine in it. I usually like to make sure that it's done before noon. And for lean, the same thing. Now, I think, oh, I meant to get a box. Because somebody said that the box changed and the instructions on the box changed on lean, and I want to just see what it says. 2 capsules daily before first meal. Okay, so when people are starting with fit and lean, I like to suggest with food because digestively, it's not I've seen it affect digestion when we take it on an empty stomach. So I generally recommend when we start with fit and lean to do with food. Now, as we progress, I usually do fit. It varies. Before breakfast, after breakfast, with breakfast, before my workout, after my workout. It kind of varies. As long as you're doing before noon. For lean, I would say with breakfast or lunch or before breakfast or lunch. I think the most important thing when we're thinking about peptides is two things. Making sure that you are very hydrated. Okay, it's not just water, but the proper electrolyte balance. That's why hydrated is so important. Either some electrolyte mixture or hydrated itself. Like we talked about, the 2-for-1 is great for that. I loaded up. I got 2 sets of it, of course. Um, and nervous system regulation. So nervous system regulation, that's why calm is so important. That's why the strength aspect is so important. So we were talking about how strength lifts, where we're doing higher weight, less reps, actually helps to regulate the nervous system. Okay, nervous system regulation helps with peptide uptake. That's why the sleep peptide, which regulates our HRV, our heart rate variability, actually helps fit and lean and energize and all the other peptides work better because you're regulating your nervous system. So those two components make a very good peptide stack. And that's why ultimately, when I remember when my friend said, you got to check out this Make Wellness thing, and I was looking at it, and the minute that I saw that they had listed Calm and Hydrated as support products, I was like, they know what they're doing. That's brilliant. That is so brilliant. Of course, because if you're not well hydrated, you can't take up the peptides. And if your nervous system is dysregulated, you can't do well with the peptides. And then when we started trialing out Restored back in April, and I saw the results of HRV, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great because the better your HRV is, the better the peptides are going to work. And that's why, full circle, these strength programs where we're lifting heavier is going to help regulate your nervous system long term. And ultimately, we talked about the sprinting. Sprinting will also help regulate um, your nervous system. And so don't get confused with sprinting. Like high intensity interval training is also a form of sprinting. We're basically going until we feel like we're gonna die, and then we're stopping before death, giving ourselves a little rest, like 30 to 90 seconds, and then we're back at it. But like, say we're doing that on the bike, we don't want it to be so hard that our legs are burning. We want to be going so fast that we think they're just gonna fall off. Do you know the difference? Okay, so sprinting can help with fat loss and conditioning and nervous system regulation and all the things. Yeah. Okay, going back to my notes. Too much cardio. Yes, we kind of talked about that. One of the big issues with building muscle and having a body recomp goal is that we are doing too much cardio. Like 9,000 steps, cool. 8,000, 7,000, all good. Okay, but jumping on the, elliptical for 45 minutes and being like, yeah, I just burned 250 calories, not the goal if we're wanting to build muscle and burn fat. Too much hit. We kind of talked about that, like the individuals that go to the classes and they're just like, we're getting a good sweat on, but it's not going to develop the muscles. Like if you think about the last class you went to, I saw one on the board and it was like, it was so fast and the weights were so light and people were just running in between stations and the form was all breaking down. And it's like, that's not going to give the hypertrophy, right? Of just like killing the muscle with lots of reps or the strength of doing it really, really heavy and very intentionally. And then I think the last kind of mistake I see people make is like putting off sprinting. And sprinting really is the magic sauce to the lifting component, right? So again, if you can commit to, this is a progress bar, right? So if you can commit to starting with steps, tracking your steps, seeing where they're at. Oh my goodness, they are 2,500. I have some work cut out for me. And just starting there. And then when you feel more comfortable, bringing in some weights in your home and playing around with that, looking at the chart that I shared with you and just starting to add in some of your lifting days at home. Then maybe moving into the gym, being like, okay, I'm doing 2 days at the gym. That's a really good time to start playing around with sprints, running on the treadmill, running in the spot, running outside, being on the bike, doing the rower, literally going until you feel like you're going to die. Don't actually die. Okay. 20 seconds, 30 seconds, then off for 90 seconds, and then again, up to 6 or 10 times as you progress. I am training for a half marathon, also weightlifting 4 days a week. How should peptides work for me? Ooh, fun. Okay. As a previous runner, I don't think I would ever be a runner again, but let's see how life goes. I would say fit would be awesome for you for sure. And calm after your lifts would be great because it's your training is really, really heavy. So I would say fit and calm and hydrated because you're probably sweating a whole bunch would be like the stack that I would suggest. And that's where I would probably start. Um, yeah, final answer. What exercise that is no to low impact equals the same as a sprint? I have 5 kids. I don't run a whole lot. Um, no to low impact, I would say probably a bike. Some people would say elliptical. I find it can be more impact depending on injuries and things like that. Um, Running is hard. Yeah, and it's really hard on some bodies. I would say cycling and or elliptical. Rowing, maybe depending on the individual, but it does require a lot of upper body strength. So just kind of like playing around with it. And you can, just because you started biking and now you're like, hey, I want to try rowing, you can kind of mix it up. Okay, let's do another giveaway. Let's do focused. Yeah, let's do focused peptide. I only have what do I have? Where is it? Oh yeah. So I only have enough for one person. Um, yeah, let's go with this. What activity? Yeah, well, it's kind of the same question as last time. I should have prepared these. I prepared everything but the questions, okay? Um, ooh, what activity do you love doing with other people? for a for a half a month supply of focused. Okay, let's read them and then I'll like randomly bicycling, games, playing tennis. I really need to get into tennis or pickleball, photography, cooking, pickleball. Ah, pickleball. Playing games. Okay, mahjong. I need to know what this is, Lynn. Okay, I'm just gonna close my eyes because there's so many, and I'll put my Denise. Denise is the lucky winner. Cool. Okay. Um, I love that. Yeah, I need to look at this Mahong. It's a tile game. Okay, cool. I like games too. Okay, I have a bunch of FAQs that people submitted, and if you have more FAQs, feel free to post them here. And I'm just gonna stay on and answer all of them because people submitted these ahead of time so that I could plan for them. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. One of your areas that I would like to get information on is should I hold off on lean while I'm in maintenance? That's a really good question. So lean is going to help burn body fat. It's going to help regulate blood sugar and food noise. When you're in maintenance or you're building your muscles or you're wanting to burn fat, and build muscle and maybe you're eating in maintenance or even surplus to build that muscle, I think you can still use lean. I've done it in maintenance. I've loved it in maintenance because it helps with food noise. So if you're dealing with food noise and blood sugar dysregulation, or what I've used it for personally is when I'm loading carbs around my workouts, especially when I was doing endurance training for Patagonia, I was taking lean to help shuttle some of that glucose. So in the case of running, like we were talking about, if you're using carbohydrates as your primary fuel, lean could be really helpful. So don't think of lean as just being involved in a cutting phase. I do have a question on GLP-1. Okay, so the question was basically on I went on a GLP, I lost a bunch of weight, then I went off of it, I went on make. So we kind of covered this already of when you're on a GLP, it's really important to lift weights, like lift weights. Look at your macros, prioritize protein. When you go off the GLP, a lot is going to change. So again, chatting with your prescriber about slowly weaning off of it as you bring in the bioactive peptides. And I would do fit, lean, and hydrated, or fit, lean, and restored if you're having sleep or HRV issues, which GLP-1s usually affect HRV. So it can be helpful as you're coming off the GLP-1s, or even as you're on GLP, that you prioritize restored peptide, sleep peptide for regulating HRV. Because all of that will influence how your body does after the peptides. Because with bioactive peptides, we're making lifestyle changes and things are shifting and those cells are communicating. And when we go off of them, it's not like everything is undone, but because GLPs, because they're so strong and therapeutic amounts and they're forcing the body into the space, you're usually going to experience a good amount of bounce back after you go off of them. So you need to be mindful of that with the prescriber. Um, Okay, so steps. Okay, so this one was about, I was reading somewhere that if you're trying to lose weight, that you're supposed to do about 500 to 800 calories less than your maintenance to lose weight. Is that true? Okay, I put together some maths for you, and this might blow your mind a little bit. So if we want to lose 1 pound of fat, okay, 1 pound of fat equals about 3,500 calories. So if you're not training, okay, so let's even take the training out of it actually. So 3,500 calories equals 1 pound of fat being lost. Ideally, like what I said, we don't want to lose more than 0.25 to zero point 0.5 pounds per week maximum, because any more than that, it's probably muscle that we're losing. Quick loss equals fat and muscle loss all the time. Okay, so we want to be slow in our losing, so it's just fat. So if we're wanting to lose 0.25 to zero point 0.5 pounds per week, then that's an 800 to 1,700 calorie deficit per week. Okay, so that equates to, get this. Okay, this is why tracking is so important. That's 125 to 250 calorie deficit per day. How quick can I eat 125 calories? I don't know, a spoonful of almond butter, a tablespoon of mayo that I think is a tablespoon, but it's more like three because I'm using a regular spoon, and that's boom, 300 calories just like that. That's your entire deficit for the day gone. Okay, so it really doesn't take a lot. But being in a deficit of 500 to 800 calories per day, that is going to equate to both fat loss and muscle loss. Okay, we covered this a little bit already, like how to, like the dietary strategies and timing around how to bring in peptides and how to introduce them. So, yeah, I feel like we covered this at length. I'm gonna actually put something in the chat and I'll put it in the. This was the dietary strategies class that we did last month on like macros and calorie counting and all that stuff. So if you want to watch that later, that's there for you, and I'll put it in the description if you're watching the recording. When everyone starts peptides with me, you guys get that how to start peptides document. So that's a really good resource and how to start it. But I would say, again, the two things, calm helps with the nervous system to uptake peptides, and some sort of electrolyte. It doesn't need to be hydrated. I love hydrated. We're going to talk about the glycine in a minute and why it's helpful. Um, Okay, but if you are not well hydrated and your nervous system is a mess, the peptides aren't going to work as well. So those two things really easy to correct both with the support products and all those activities we talked about before. A beach walk, forest bathing, hugging a friend, like playing games with our loved ones, like all those things, breathing exercise, reading a book, meditating, all those things can be helpful toward regulating your nervous system. And overall, just making sure that, like I said, fit and lean before noon. Focused, you can take up to every 4 hours. Energized, I like to do to suggest before noon, and then restored 1 hour before sleep. Um, Oh, okay. So somebody was asking about glycine and kind of how it works and why it's in hydrated. And since hydrated is buy two, get one free until Sunday the 7th, let's just go through the glycine, why it's in the product and how it works. So most people take glycine at night, or that's kind of like the recommended amount, kind of at a larger dose. I usually recommend it around 3 to 5 grams, and this can be helpful for falling asleep. It's not my number one sleep recommendation. Probably my number one now is restored peptide, but like valerian root, melatonin, L-theanine, those are inositol, those are kind of my go-to sleep options. Um, Glycine, I haven't seen be like substantial, but some people will use it for helping to fall asleep and improving sleep quality. It'll lower our core body temperature and it has a calming effect on the nervous system. So, yeah, we can take it at night for sure, but the glycine inside hydrated does something a little bit different. It's not included in that big 3 to 5 gram amount, so it's not going to act like a sleep aid and it's not designed to be a nighttime product. Although I have been known to take hydrated before bed because I find electrolyte imbalance can lead to some pretty substantial sleep issues. So glycine is one of the key amino acids that your body uses to build collagen, actually. It repairs tissues and it maintains our healthy, like antioxidant systems. Basically, it helps cells operate more smoothly. And a lot of individuals who are spending $100+ on collagen, when they chat with me and they're like, well, which peptide would I add to it? I'm like, hey, for less, we can actually do fit peptide and hydrate it and do, because glycine will stimulate collagen production, fit and the muscle protein synthesis plus a reduction of inflammation and the glycine that helps with antioxidant uptake, I should say. It's kind of way better than collagen and saves you money. So hey, it's not this glycine is not hydrating you necessarily, but it gives your system a better foundation to hold on to the electrolytes that you're taking. So glycine can help with sleep. It's been used to help with sleep. It's not my number one sleep recommendation, but the hydrating effect of hydrated is in the electrolytes, the coconut water powder, and then the glycine is there to help the cellular function. And again, sound like a broken record, cellular function absolutely essential when taking peptides because the cells need to be functioning well to take on peptides. That's why hydrated is a good product to be using while doing the peptides. Um, this one was about supplements. Oh, what magnesium do you recommend? I got that question a lot this month. I really like magnesium breakthrough from Bioptimizers. If it's not that, it's probably magnesium glycinate. That's what I use primarily. That's all I got. There's a question on how to find episodes properly on Healthful Pursuit podcast, stuff about PCOS specifically. I've spoken about PCOS in episodes 20, 56, and 104, but pro tip, if you just go to Google and you type in Healthful Pursuit podcast and then the thing that you want, like PCOS or peptides, Google will tell you what episodes I talked about them in. And then you can go to your podcast player and look for Healthful Pursuit podcast and look for that episode. That's what I do for my own show because I can't remember what's what. Okay, there was a question about citric acid. So if you look, yeah, like Calm has it. I mean, so many products have it right now. Um, Citric acid. So there's this great, there are a bunch of great holistic dentists that I've had on the podcast over the years, and I've been blessed with a great holistic dentist in both Calgary and West Palm that I love so much. Um, when we are sipping our sippy cups, right, for minutes and hours a day, and we're involving citric acid in that, we're sipping these drinks all the time, that can lead to enamel breakdown. I've not had this issue. My enamel's really healthy. I think my dad's actually going through this and I've been helping him with an enamel protocol, which is super fun because I've never had the opportunity to do that. A lot of enamel breakdown and the concern with citric acid comes with the people that fill up their Stanley bottles with their citric acid heavy laden products, and then they sip on it throughout the day, and they're constantly having citric acid in their mouth all day, every day, day in and day out. How we should be taking any of these products is not sipping them for hours at a time. It's like getting it done in 5 to 10 minutes. And if you have concerns over enamel and you're taking citric acid products, you can like drink some regular water after, and that will get rid of it. The person asking the question was like, is citric acid going to wreck my enamel? My dentist said it would, and I need to scrub my mouth with baking soda every time I have a citric acid thing. And I researched this today because I was like, really? And then I asked one of my dentist friends, he's like, no, 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 no. No, it's just that we need to make sure that we're not drinking it throughout the day in our drinks constantly. So what I've always done with electrolytes and all that is like drink it and get on with it. Go back to regular water. So if you have an enamel concern, don't be drinking all the flavored drinks all day without regular water in between. But yeah. And also, like toothpaste is a really big deal. And so if you care, I will tell you what I do. Um, I use, I should remember this. It's Boca toothpaste. You really just want a good toothpaste. I use dental side in the mornings to make sure that my mouth is really clean before I start drinking anything. And then remineralizing your water is essential. People that often have poor enamel, in my experience, are the people that have the reverse osmosis whole house systems at home, and they're not adding minerals to their water, and they're having a lot of issues with their mouth. Yes. Cool. Let me check. Oh, I love hydrated at night. Yeah, me too. I'm obsessed. Speaking of which, any last questions? Anything else, gals? I'm going to be sending messages to Jessica, Denise, Sharon, Amy, Katie, and the other Denise. Two Denises. Fun. For your products, for your giveaway items. And then if you want to text me and just let me know if you feel like Saturdays would be good, we can plan for January Saturday. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the call, by January, we're going to have something really fun. I'm relaunching my old Facebook group that I have just kind of let fizzled out because I have a lot of stuff going on. So we're revitalizing that and bringing in, yeah, a lot of fun stuff. So start thinking about whether or not there's a friend that you maybe want to go on an accountability journey with. It's okay if you come solo. Some things are most fun when you're by yourself, but if you have a pal that you are thinking of might benefit from this, just start thinking about them, and I'll have more details in our January call. Um, yeah, by then I'll know what the heck we're doing. So if you have any last questions, let me know. I'm just checking. I think we're good. Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all the things. I will be checking in with you guys every Saturday throughout December. If you have any questions for me or anything, I'm always available to you. I check those messages on Saturdays, and I will be back January 1st with our call details for January. And yeah, this was a blast. I hope you benefited from it and something I shared with you helped. Merry Christmas. Enjoy family time. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, bye. Bye.